Hello, class. In Unit 3, we begin with Chapter 3, discussing business organizations. From your reading, you should have already read about sole proprietorships. They are businesses that have one person that owns and operates the business. They're easily formed in that a person says they're in business. They may need to get a business permit or a business license, and then they're in business. That's pretty much all there is to it. Some examples of sole proprietorships might be, you could be a bookkeeper from your home, a financial planner, you could do landscaping, computer repair, any of the things listed there. When I was in college, I did some tutoring. It's a great way to earn some extra money while you're going to school. Actually, any of these would be a handyman. You can set your own hours and do those on the side. Advantages of a sole proprietorship. One advantage would be ease of starting. We already talked about how you start it. You say you want to be in business, you need an idea, you need a business plan, but pretty much you say you want to be in business, you get the license or permit, and you are in business. It's easy to manage. You do not have to work with anyone else in managing your business. You manage it all on your own. You get to keep all the profits. Anything you make above and beyond what you put into the business, you usually have to put money into a business to get it going, whether it's if you're going to tutor and you're going to use a computer, or if you're going to do some bookkeeping and you're going to use a computer, or you're going to give piano lessons in someone's home and you're going to drive to their house to give the lessons. There's money involved in being in business. However, anything you make above and beyond the money you put into, you get to keep. That's the profit. There's no separate business tax. You're only taxed once on the money you make, and you're taxed as an individual. It's only personal income tax. You get to have the satisfaction of being your own boss. Many of us do not like to be told what to do, so it's awfully fulfilling to be able to be the person making the decisions and being your very own boss. And it's easy to get out of a sole proprietorship. If you are in a sole proprietorship and you no longer want to be in that business, you can just stop being in that business. I have an example of a friend who's an accountant. She worked for an accounting firm. They lost a bunch of business. She was the last one hired, so she was the first one let go. So she decided to start her own accounting business. She started it online, picked up a few clients. In the meantime, she looked for employment elsewhere because she really did want to work as an accountant elsewhere. So she found employment with a business and stopped doing her sole proprietorship. Some of the disadvantages of being a sole proprietor. One would be unlimited liability. What does that mean? Well, it just means that you are responsible for all the debts of the business. And in being responsible for all that, you could lose everything. You could lose your house, your car, your vacation home, your luxury boat, whatever it is that you have, you could lose. It's difficult to raise financial capital. Financial capital, as we know, is the money. It's the money we need to be in business, and it can be difficult to get people to lend you money, whether it's family or friends or even a bank. Banks don't like to do it because you don't have enough collateral. Owners may have limited managerial experience of a sole proprietorship. They may be really good at what they do, whether it's repairing cars or doing people's taxes or whatever it is. They may be really great at that, but they may not be so good at other parts of the business, like, for example, selling the business. Size. If you're not very large, you may have a difficult time being an efficient business. It may take you longer to do things than it does other people or other businesses that have similar products. It's difficult to attract qualified personnel when you're in business for yourself and it's a sole proprietorship. You still might need some help. You might need somebody to answer your phones or somebody to run some errands for you. And you may not get the top people to do that job because your company is so small. You may not offer the benefits and or the pay that someone highly qualified would desire. The business also has a limited life as a sole proprietorship. And that just means that when you are no longer around, neither is your business. So let's say I opened up a bakery and it was called Denny's Delights, and this was a sole proprietorship, and I made everything and sold it, and I ran the business. And I'm getting old, So I'm going to bring my daughter in and have her help me with the business. It's still going to be a sole proprietorship. It's still going to be my business. She's going to come in and help me, and she's going to learn the business. And then I decide to not be around anymore. Either I've passed away, or I just decide I don't want to be in the business anymore. And I give that business to my daughter. That's great, but it's now a different business. It's no longer Denny's Delights, even if it's doing business as Denny's Delights. It's whatever name my daughter registers it as a business. Partnerships. Partnerships are the next type of business that we need to discuss. And this is a business that's jointly owned by 2 or more people. So you have to have at least 2 people to be a partnership. You can have more people to be a partnership. The way they're formed is that you need an article of partnership. This is just a document that spells out everything that the partners agree to. So you may agree to how much vacation time each person can take, how much of the profits each person can take. So these are just things that you agree to as you're setting up the business, how much money each person's going to put in, how much time they're going to spend in the office, all sorts of things you want to spell out, especially if you're going into business with a friend. Some examples of partnerships: medical teams, lawyers often, real estate agencies, advertising, marketing, graphic design. Any of those things are often partnerships. They are a highly effective way to build a business, and they help you compete in new markets, or they might help you offer a competitive advantage in your own market. You might be able to gain new distribution, or you might just benefit from a positive brand imagery. Some advantages of partnerships. One would be ease of establishment. That just means it's pretty easy to go into business. It's not quite as easy as a sole proprietorship, because obviously there's more people involved. It's not just you getting a license and saying you're in business. You have a partner now. You and your partner are in business, and you and someone else decide to go into business, and you write up this article of partnership, and you might have to get some licenses, but after that you're in business. So it's pretty easy. Ease of management. It's a little easier to manage than a sole proprietorship, because hopefully you're going to go into business with a partner who has a different area of expertise than you do in the company. So for example, my friend who started her accounting business, she's a fabulous accountant. Let's say I'm fabulous at sales. If we go into business together, she can do all the bookkeeping, and I can go out and win all the clients. There's no special taxes still. Sole proprietorships and partnerships, there's no special business tax. It's still considered an individual tax. It's a little bit easier to get financial capital in a partnership. Part of the reason would be that you have both partners bringing money into the business, and you also, banks tend to be a little easier to get money from, to get a loan from when you're in a partnership, because there's more collateral at stake. Another is that you have another advantage is that you have a greater variety of types of businesses to run. If you have partners, it's easier to run a little bit different type of business than it was when you were doing a just sole proprietorship. It's a little easier to be a medical or a legal partnership than it is to just be your own doctor or a lawyer that just hangs out a shingle. It's a little bit easier than a sole proprietorship in attracting qualified personnel, and that's just because you're just a little bit bigger organization. You probably have a little bit more to offer. You still have a small enough shop that the person can gain some expertise and learn some things, but you also are big enough that you might be able to offer them a little more exposure, a little bit more money, maybe even more benefits. Disadvantages of being a partnership. One of the disadvantages is unlimited liability. So in a sole proprietorship, we talked about unlimited liability. I'm a sole proprietor. I own my own business. I'm responsible for all the debts. Denny's Delights goes out of business, and I no longer have a business, and I am having to pay I have to sell my house to pay off the debts of the business because I have run the business into the ground. Now let's say my friend and I, the accountant, we go into business together and we're going to have a bakery and she's going to be the accountant. She's going to be the person that takes care of making sure the taxes get paid and all that good stuff. Well, now she and I are in business together and one of us, let's say it's me, I do something really bad and I run the business into the ground. I make really bad cupcakes and nobody buys them and now we can't sell them and we keep thinking it's going to turn around and it doesn't, and now we owe all this money. Well, who's responsible for that debt? Is it me? Is it her? Or is it both of us? Well, it's really both of us. We're responsible for all the debt. If I can't pay it, then my friend is responsible for all of the debt. If she can't pay it, then I am responsible for all of the debt. So it's unlimited liability. Again, it has limited life, just like a sole proprietorship. So let's say my daughter and I my friend and I went into business together in this bakery. We're a partnership now. Now my daughter comes along. She's going to take over my part of the business. It is no longer the original business. Even if we're selling the same stuff, running it the same way, in the eyes of the law, it is a new business. It is a new partnership between my daughter and my friend. You can have conflict with partners. You have a best friend, right? And you agree with them on most things, but you do not agree with them on everything. So business partners have these same issues. They have conflict and they do not always agree. Banks still do not like to lend you money. They will, but they still don't like to do it. It's still more of a risk for them, and they don't want to lose money any more than the rest of us. What are the two types of partnerships and how do they differ? Well, we have a general partnership and we have limited partnerships. General partners actively participate in the business and they have unlimited liability. So my friend and I go into partnership. We're both active in the business. She does the managerial business end. I do the creative baking end of things. And we both have unlimited liability and we both are actively participating in the business every day. A limited, one partner doesn't take part in running the business. So this will be written up in your articles of partnership. So one of the partners doesn't run the business. They probably just put in some money and they may give advice if you ask for it. And they are limited liability based on what's written in the articles of partnership. So they will have a more limited role in life.